Hello, Mr. Adam.
Hello.
So we said that we'd talk a little bit more about our pet passport. We sat by the river doing it, and Rio just wants to play sticks, so we'll just take a couple of minutes. So basically, Rio's got a French passport. Originally, he had a British passport, and then Brexit came, and then the world decided that UK vets were no longer able to issue a valid stamp in a passport, so the British passport's become obsolete. So then we had to get travel paperwork to travel from the UK, from a UK vet to say he was fit to travel to get to Europe. And what do we need to do to get the original?
So the way it works now is either way they have to have a rabies vaccine, which has to be proved accordingly to make sure they're protected. So in the EU they have to have a booster jab exactly a year after the first jab. And they can't travel during that first 12 months. In the UK, they normally have one and they have a blood test a little while after to make sure the vaccine's taken. So that's like the process, and that costs similar amounts no matter whether you do it in the UK or in France. Once you've done it in the UK, in order to leave the UK, you have to get a animal movement certificate, I think it's called, which is basically where a vet signs to confirm that that vaccine's happened. And that official document allows you to travel into Europe.
Yeah.
If you're able to get the dog registered in Europe, France is obviously a bit easier because it's the closest one, but you could do it in Ireland. If you're able to get a dog registered there and do their vaccine procedure, you then get a EU passport, which enables free travel in and out of Europe. But
You still have to do the worming for the way home.
yeah, no matter what you do, you always do worm when you come back into the UK from anywhere outside of the UK.
So that's what we've done this morning. We've taken him to the vets to be able to get his worming, and that gives him a stamp in his French passport. If you'd have bought the UK movement paperwork, it'd be the same process. You still have to take him to a vet. It's cost, did it work like €55 or something this morning? It can be anything really between £30 and £50, depending which part of France you go to see a vet. The nearer to Calais you go, the more expensive they are. We've chose to use a vet down in the Alps today, and he's had to have a worming tablet, hasn't he? Just like he would if he's at home. In the presence of the vet, they stamp his passport, and then he's fit to travel back to England. But there is even rules around when you need to do that, so it has to be more than 24 hours before he travels, is that right?
Yeah, for no more than 5 days.
And no more than 5 days. So when you're planning road trips, like we've come on a road trip, we've been out of the UK for nearly 3 weeks, then you've really got to plan in when you take him to the vet. If you do forget and you get to Calais, I do believe that you can get it stamped there and then with a vet. But again, I can't imagine the cost, and you'd have to wait 24 hours before you can travel. So you see people stranded at the Calais station all the time because it's something sometimes they don't think about. So it is hard. It's not the easiest process, but for us, I think as a family, we definitely think it's worth it, don't we?
Yeah, the EU passport's the way to go, but you just need to bear in mind that you're from the UK and you're able to get an EU passport from France or wherever. The first time you go across and have the vaccination, it's 12 months before you're able to get a passport. So
yeah,
you still need that animal movement certificate
to bring him back.
To go on, and then I think you can use it to go back into France.
Yeah.
I think actually it's not the 12 months, is it? It's like 3 weeks, I think, after the jab.
Yeah, it's not. His jab's not valid, is it?
For
a certain period of time.
Something like that, and then after then, it is as long as he then has the booster a year after.
So that's the rabies booster, and it had to be 1 year exact to the date. So unlike England, when they have the rabies injections, they have a blood test to see if it's took. They don't do that here. They literally just say, we give it you, we wait this amount of time, we say that it's valid, but then you have to have it again in 12 months. So that happened last year for Rio now.
His booster for a year.
Yeah.
So
then that's valid for another 3 years, which takes us till 2027. So now we won't have no more rabies in the UK. A UK vet can't stamp his passport. It must be the most vaccinated dog against rabies, because he's had all the UK ones to get his British passport. Then the poor lad's had to go through the European ones to get his European passport. So it just seems absolutely crazy. It all changed on Brexit. So we're not a fan of it. But in relation to bringing our lad away,
if you're going to go regular, it's worth investing in a EU passport, because it's quite, once that process is in, it's quite easy to keep
definitely.
on top of.
And we made a special trip, didn't we, to come back for his yearly injection?
Because we weren't planning to come, were we?
Yeah. So we made sure that we come. We just did a short trip. You get some really good deals on Eurostar on a short trip. And we're doing another short trip later on this year as well. So we come out on a Friday and leave on a Monday. In a lot of ways, it's better than holidaying in the UK. There's a lot less people around. It's just a little bit faffy when it comes to the vets. But once you get used to the process, it's definitely worth it. And for us, our lad's been able to be a big part of our adventure. And I think he'd definitely tell you it's worth it. What do you say, Rio? Rio says he just wants to play with sticks in the water, please. So yeah, so any questions that you've got for us in relation to passports, just post them in the comments. We'll always get back to you. Drop us a message. And if you want to know more about our road trips, don't forget to subscribe on YouTube, and it'll give us some inspiration to keep doing some more. So, ciao for now. So we're off this morning bright and early. We're off to the vets to get Rio's worming and passport stamped, ready for him to be classed as fit to travel to return back to England.
He has to have a worming tablet more than 24 hours before travel, but no more than 5 days before travel. Has to be given by a vet that can then record it either on his animal movement certificate or his passport to confirm that he's had it and that he's fit to travel. And then he's all good to go back to the UK.
Yeah, so off we go to a alpine vet. What a beautiful road to do it on. So €57 lighter, one worming pill, and one and a half because he's a big lad. And we're done, so we're free to travel back to England. So he's all checked in. French passport control for Rio, all complete. They signed him off. His documents are all fit. So yet again, by getting his French passport sorted, it means we're good to travel. I felt sorry for some people in passport control. They've got fit to travel paperwork from the UK. All sorts of documents, pieces of paper hanging out all over the place, and then still being refused travel. That's basically because it's not that straightforward. Having said that, you shouldn't let it put you off. You just need to make sure you read all the small print and make sure you know what you're doing before you travel. And these guys have obviously seen every trick in the book to try and get animals through. So off to check-in now for us. It's 6 o'clock in the morning. Our train is not booked until 11 o'clock. I've looked this morning, you can still book, so I'm hoping they'll just let us get on an early train. So let's see what happens.